Hi students, in this presentation we are going to see about looping statements in C. We are going to learn how loops help us to do a program, repeat tasks and solve problems efficiently. What is a loop? A loop is a control structure that allows a block of code to be executed repeatedly as long as a given condition is true. But instead of selection, that has only a block of code runs once based on a condition. Here, a block of code repeatedly is being run based on a condition. That we can call it as loop or iteration. We have three types of loops in C: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So the for loop is used when the number of iterations is known in advance, and while loop when the number of iterations is not known. Do while loop is similar to while loop, but the block is being executed at least once. Let's see for loop. What is a for loop? A for loop is a control structure that is used to repeat a block of code for a fixed number of time. The syntax is for, in bracket, initialization, condition, and increment or decrement, and inside the parenthesis the statements to be executed. So how it works? The initialization is executed first, and then the condition is checked, and if the condition is true, the block of statements will be executed, and then the increment or decrement is being executed. Then again it will check the condition. If the condition is true, again this block of statements will be executed, and that will continue until the condition is true. When the condition is false, then it will come out of the block of code. Then it will execute the remaining codes. For example, here if you want to print numbers from 1 to 10, then for I is equal to 1, I less than or is equal to 10, I plus plus. Inside the block we write printf %d comma I. So what will happen in this? First we are initializing I into 1, and then we check the condition whether I is less than or is equal to 10. Yes, it is true. Then it will print the value of I, that is number 1. Then after that it will increment I by 1, that is I plus plus. So now it will be 2. Then it will check the condition, and the condition is also true. Then again it will print I, that is 2. And this will be done up to 10. Then after that it will increment I by 1. Then now it will be 11, and it will check the condition whether this I is less than or is equal to 10. When the condition is false, then it goes beyond this block of code and it will print a new line. Then it will return 0 and the program will end. What is while loop? A while loop is a control structure that repeats a block of code as long as a given condition is true. For example, we can have the same thing if we want to print 1 to 10, that also we can keep here. Now the syntax here is while, in bracket condition, then the block of statements, and here the increment or decrement, that is the updation, is done inside the block of the while loop. So what happens now? First the condition is checked before executing the loop body, and if the condition is false, and it will not run anything directly, it will come out of the loop or the block of statements. If the condition is true, then it will run the statements. Then at the end of the statements it will update whether increment or decrement that will be done inside the loop to avoid the infinite loop. So it is more flexible than for loop. For example, the same thing if you want to print 1 to 10, then we have to initialize it before the while condition. So here the example program int I is equal to 1. Then while I less than or is equal to 10, here is given 5. So you can write I less than or is equal to 10. So it will print I. Then you see here I is equal to I plus 1. The updation is done here. Then again it will check the condition and it will do the same process again and again, and up to 10 it will print. This is while loop. What is do while loop? A do while loop is similar to the while loop, but it guarantees the block of code executes at least once even though the condition is false. So here the syntax is do, then the block of statements, and then at the end of the loop the condition will be there while the condition. So here the statements are executed first no matter the condition is true or false, and then it will do the increment whatever it may be. Then it will check the condition. If the condition is true, it will execute the loop again, otherwise it will come out of the loop. For example, printing the same 1 to 10, you initialize it, then do, and you print it, then you increment it, then you check the condition. So if the condition is false, at least one time it is printed. If the condition is true, 1 to 10 will be printed. This is the difference between while and the do while. So what do you mean by nested loops? A loop is inside another loop is called nested loop. Here suppose if I want to print a matrix, or if I want to print a design of stars, then I can have nested loop. A loop is present inside another loop. For example, for one loop is there, that is outer loop, and inside we write another inner loop. So the first one condition of the outer loop, all the conditions of the inner loop will be done. Then it will go for the second condition or the second time of the outer loop, and it will proceed again and again. So what is done here? Here the inner loop executes completely for each iteration of the outer loop. So the total repetition is equal to outer iterations into inner iterations. So here in the example, I is having a condition of less than or is equal to 3, and inner loop is having j less than or is equal to 4. So for each I, the j is executed 4 times. When I is equal to 1, j is being executed 1 to 4, and when I is 2, again j is executing from 1 to 4, and when I is 3, again j is executed from 1 to 4. That is the beauty of nested loops. So the pattern of 3 rows and 4 columns is printed in this format. What is break and continue? Suppose I don't want to continue it. I just want to break in a particular line with a particular condition is achieved. Then I can come out of the loop at any time, even though the looping condition is not yet satisfied. It's not yet completed. So here we see a break statement is used to immediately terminate the loop and transfer the control to the next statement after the loop. So for I is equal to 1, I less than or is equal to 10. Here up to 10 it has to be executed. But inside I am writing if I is equal to 5, I have to break. Then when it comes to 5, then automatically it terminates the loop and it comes out of the loop. So it will print only 1 to 4, not after 4. But what do you mean by continue statement? It used to just skip only the remaining statements in that particular loop iteration, but it will go to the next iteration. It will not come out of the loop. It will not exit the loop. Here the same thing, when we write I is equal to 3 and continue, it will not only print this printf %di, and it will print the next one. So 1, 2 will be printed, 3 only will not be printed, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 10 it will be printed if the condition is I less than or is equal to 10. So that is break and continue in the loop. It is a sentinel value we can give. So the programs using loops to find the sum of first n natural numbers, factorial of a given number, print multiplication tables, all these things we can do using loops. So the comparison of loop types, when to use, when to check the condition, how it is being executed. So when the number of iteration is known, we can use for loop. When it's not known, we can use while loop. And if you want to run at least once, we can use do while loop. So the conditions, it is checked before entering the loop in both for and while, and in the do while after executing the loop body, that will be done. So now let's move on to the real world problems for our practice. You can practice find the sum of digits of a given number, reverse a number, check whether the number is a palindrome or not. You can generate a Fibonacci series. You can find all the prime numbers between 1 to n, factorial of a given number, check whether the number is Armstrong number or not, print a multiplication table for any number that is given, count the vowels in the particular string, and to print the pattern, the star or diamond, whatever pattern that you want to print, you can use it. And we can also use this for a real world thing, the normal thing that is happening. What is the real world problems? Eligible voters in your class, which means you have to read all the age of the students first, display students those who are more than 18 years old, and count the total eligible voters. And the bus passenger counter. Count the passengers boarding a bus at each stop, but at the end I have to calculate all the total. And vegetable shopping bill, I have to enter the price of vegetables purchased and calculate and display the total bill. Restaurant food orders, how many customers have come, how many have ordered vegetarian food, how many have ordered non-vegetarian meals, and what is the total bills. So like that, we can use these loops, nested loops, for while, do while in the real world problems also. So practice each problem so that you can be familiar with all this for, while, and do while. Thank you.